Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Financial First Aid. At Financial First Aid, bankrupt entrepreneurs hire us to help them go from broke to bank. We show them that bankruptcy is not an end, but a beginning with a fresh start. We motivate, educate, and inspire the entrepreneur in you. Today, I have the very distinct pleasure of having Mr. Ira Curry on. He's a God made chairman, coach, consultant, producer, artist, speaker, and businessman. He is the mastermind behind the Ira Curry Show and executive chairman of Ira Curry Holdings. Ira has built an empire that has attracted audiences throughout the world, characterized by his resilience, faith, and determination. His leap of faith from corporate America provided Ira with the opportunity to launch his first business, Engineer Credit Repair. Now that engineer is spelled Enginear, Credit Repair, in 2018. Today, Ira owns and operates five privately held organizations while traveling the world, coaching and consulting other entrepreneurs. Mr. Carey's aim is to transform employees into employers by guiding, advising, and supporting the new generation of business leaders and entrepreneurs on each phase of their journey. He believes true human potential happens when opportunity and hope meet. And I really love that. That is so inspiring. At the end of the broadcast, I always ask my guest to give something to the audience that inspires, motivates, and educates them. And that in and of itself is inspirational. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Curry.
Hey, Miss Vera, I'm so ecstatic to be here. It's good to be in your presence. Thank you for having me on your show today.
I appreciate that. So, tell the audience, what is the primary focus of your company?
The primary focus of my companies is one, to help everyday people start a business and
Hmm.
to help people who currently have a business to grow their business. So it's to put them in purpose and in position to either start their companies or to grow their companies.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
I think it was a calling. I think I knew that it was time. I think as I was moving in my career and as I was doing what I was last instructed to do, which was to take care of the people that was coming to me, my
Hmm.
employees,
Hmm.
I think one day I just knew that it was God that was telling me that, hey, it's time to step out and do what you've done for others so that you can have that opportunity. So it was an inner knowing.
Okay, an inner knowing. All right. And so give us a little bit information about your background.
Yeah, so wow. 2018, I was in corporate America. And before that, I was in college. I was doing what I felt I was led to do. I went to college, I studied business, and I actually got into business. I
Okay.
knew that I wanted to start a company, but I knew that I didn't just want to start it. I wanted to one day own one. And I think as I went to college and worked for other people and I took care of their vision,
Hmm.
it ultimately landed me into a vision that I could create on my own. So that's a
Okay.
little about me.
All right. That sounds good. Um, what kind of made you think, okay, now is the time for me to move out, take that step of faith, and do my own thing?
I was in position. I tell people all the time, Ms. Bureau, that
Hmm.
you got to be in position when you know that you're called to do something. If you're called to start the marriage, you got to start acting like the wife or the husband before you get into the marriage. If you're
Okay.
called to run the business, you've got to start acting like the business leader. You got to get things in place. You got to get your finances in order, right? You got to get the vision. You got to press into what it could possibly be. You got to see what you can't see before you get to where you're called to be. And I think when you hang around people that are experiencing what you want to experience, when you start to engage those people and get connected with those people, I think it ultimately leads you into what you're called to be led into.
Okay. So what people were you engaged with and connected with that made you feel like, you know what, I know I can do this because I can see that they're doing it. I feel that, God is leading me in this direction. What was like, who were the people that you were around?
I found people that I did not have contact with, right?
Mm,
I found people on TV. I saw Oprah Winfrey. I saw people like Tyler Perry. I saw people like, Ashanti and Beyonce. I saw people doing what I didn't see people doing in my community. And I felt that if Tyler Perry could do what he had done, why couldn't I do what I had been called to do? Maybe it was in a different form, right? I think
right.
everyone has their own unique purpose. And I think when I had access to see that someone could do what I could potentially do, it started to lead me into what I never knew that I could ever do.
Oh wow, yeah, definitely. And when you I read a little bit about your background, and you were in corporate America feeling pretty comfortable because you were kind of, doing senior management. You weren't in the doing the grunt work. When you saw that you were managing other people, what made you think that you were able and capable to manage other people? Because managing people is quite the challenge.
That is so true. It's funny because sometimes people will see something within you that you don't see yet within yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that takes me back to a man by the name of David Salone. He was a manager within this organization. And I remember one day he told me,
Mm-hmm.
I can see you being a manager. And I'm like, no, not me. I'm not good like that. And so I think sometimes people will speak certain things over you at the appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you come into agreement with what you could potentially become, it will start to shift you
Mm-hmm.
into that next level. And I think for me, when I heard someone who was doing what I was called to do,
Mm-hmm.
speak it over me, I started to think about, well, what if I could be that manager? What if I could lead people? What if I could do the thing that I wanted to do, but I never thought I was qualified to do? And I think that as I came into agreement with that, what if the wonders led to the experience, the experience led to elevation, and elevation led to purpose, which led to destiny, which is where I'm still headed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So during your beginning, like what was the first thing that you started to do when you were leaving corporate America? Like what was your first kind of, I guess, gig, for lack of a better word? What was the first job that you took on as your own entrepreneur, as your own company?
It's so funny. I tell people my story of how God literally told me to let go of my 9 to 5. And as
Ah,
I
okay.
was of God for the very first time, I stepped into position after a battle because it wasn't easy to let go of those 6 figures. It wasn't easy to let
Right.
go of what I knew. And so I stepped out on faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because within 60 days or less, I had a company that had started. It was called Engineer Credit Repair. And I quickly grew that business from 0 to 6 figures, less than 6 months. And it was nothing but the hands of God. As I've gone on my journey, God has revealed himself to me more in deeper ways, because I've been obedient to what he had called me to do. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And so the credit repair piece, how did you develop and grow that type of a business? Because everybody could use some help with their credit. Um, what was your strategy to grow that business?
Yeah, my strategy was connecting with people on a deep level. I was the CEO of the company, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from helping the customers. I wasn't going to allow that to stop me from getting down up in that thing. I tell the entrepreneurs that I coach all the time, you got to be with your customers. You got to show them that you love them. You got to step up out the office and get down in your business in the beginning to make it work. Because as you make it work, and as you pour into your people, they're going to be pouring into you. And one customer will turn into 10 customers, which will turn into 10,000 customers. And you will have 10 employees who's helping you, and 100, and so forth and so on. I think it's so important in the beginning to get in it, to be in it, to
Mm-hmm.
put your
Mm-hmm.
heart in it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I did. I put my heart, my soul. I wanted to help people rebuild their credit. It was a training ground for me. God
Mm-hmm.
soon went on to reveal that it wasn't where I was called to be. It was the training ground for what he was ultimately calling me into.
Okay. So how do we step from credit repair to your next business, to your next business, now up to five?
Yeah. It's so funny. I tell people, Miss Vera, that everything was leading to everything. You start doing what you're called to do, and before you know it, you're getting called to do the next assignment. When I was working my credit repair business, I was
Uh-huh.
focused on helping those people rebuild their credit. And there came an appointed time where CEOs of other companies, they was like, oh my God, dude, you're blowing up. You're building a team. You're growing your company so fast. How are you doing it? Can you coach me through the process?
Okay.
Can you teach me as the CEO how to grow my company really quick? And so before you know, engineer credit repair led to our carry consulting. And then our carry
Okay.
consulting led to our carry coaching. And now I'm coaching groups of people on how to do it. And now that I'm coaching these groups of people, people from corporate America are like, oh my God, can you help me start a business? And so, long story short, our carry coaching leads to Coachman, a web app that helps people start a business. And it's just one thing was leading to the next, but I was focused on my last assignment.
Okay. Okay. So the first assignment, you were focused on that, which led to the next, which led to the next, always staying focused and deeply involved with it.
I think that's a word. I think it's so important that if you're working corporate America, you work on corporate America. You take care of that company as though it's your company. If you're in your marriage, you
Okay.
work on that family because one thing will lead, one child will lead to whom much is given, much is required. And I think
Hmm.
it's so important to continue to do what you're doing or what you was
Hmm.
last called to do to the best of your ability.
Okay. Okay. And then that would, in essence, open up opportunities for the next assignment.
That is correct. That's
Okay.
100% correct.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So now we're talking about all this good stuff. What about the times when you felt discouraged or questioned yourself, or did you ever question yourself? I mean, once you took that leap of faith, you said, "Hey, there's no looking back." Is that how that went for you?
No, it wasn't. Corporate America was like Zoom. It was booming. It was amazing. I felt like there were years that people didn't see when I was 1 to 18 where I suffered. There was a lot of things in my childhood that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy that I experienced. And so when people saw me elevate in corporate America, it was a reflection. It was the appointed time to go into
Mm-hmm.
that level of glory. As I
Mm-hmm.
stepped into full-time entrepreneurship, it sucked. It was
Mm-hmm.
horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Although publicly I was experiencing a lot of success, there was a lot of pain behind the scenes. There was a lot of renewing my mind, right? There was a lot of healing that I had to do. There were tough decisions that a big boy had to make at that age of letting go of people, places, and things that wasn't able to go on my journey, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that as I experienced that, there were trials that I experienced because I held on to relationships that was
Mm-hmm.
causing me to suffer
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't to go with me.
Right.
And so I like to tell people that although I've experienced a lot of outside success, behind the scenes, it was a lot of pain to
Mm-hmm.
get to this point of
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at now, which is peace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Yeah, we all need peace. So those things that were challenging to you, that really had you kind of doubting yourself, or saying, is this the right thing to do? How did you deal with those? How were you able to overcome those issues and then move forward into where you are now?
I always knew that I was called to do it. I knew that God called me out of corporate America to create corporate America of my own. So I kept him in the center of everything. I had to fight for that thing. I had to be willing to wake up every day and say, you know what? I'm going to get it. I'm going to go to war. I may got knocked down yesterday, but I'm stepping back in position today. And I think I used to have those power talks with myself. I wasn't going to let nobody talk me out of what God had talked me into because there were people in places and positions that was counting on me to fail. I think sometimes God will allow people to tell you what you can't do so that you can step into what you're called to do. So I use that as my motivation. Who do he think
Mm-hmm.
he is to
Mm-hmm.
walk away from this six-figure job and go out to create his own six-figure job? And I think I
Right.
used it as my motivation to get up. There were moments where I wanted to stay down low. There was. But each day come a new beginning. And so I stepped back into what I knew to step back into.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what would say to someone who is thinking about starting a business and kind of questioning their ability to do it? What would be kind of like your one piece of advice to say, listen, if you think that this is a dream that you have, pursue it, and I'm going to help you pursue it. What would you say to that person? Because people are so, they get as you just said earlier, you got knocked down, but you kept getting yourself back up, saying, "No, I'm gonna do this because this is what I believe I'm going to do." And people love to put the negative in front of the positive. It's like you could see it, but there's so many people, doubting you and questioning your ability and that kind of thing. What would you say to that new entrepreneur, or that thinking about becoming a wannabe entrepreneur?
You got to have some power that's bigger than you to get through what you're called to do. Because what you're called to do, if you're called to start a business, it's a big thing. Most of the founders, as I've done research, these people were led by something bigger than
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They had an inner knowing. They had an inner thing within them. And I think for me, that big thing was that big God, right? I think it
Mm-hmm.
was God that I had to connect to and get to know on a personal level. So I tell people that you got to get vision, but your vision doesn't come from what you see other people do. Your
Mm-hmm.
vision comes from the one who created vision. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think you've got to really start to build that relationship with God. Seek him and his ways, and not on a religious level, but on a relationship level,
Mm-hmm.
right? Getting to know the person that created us. I don't want to know what I know. I want to know what I don't know. I want to know about the man that created me, because if he created the heavens and the earth, oh my God, what can he do for my business? How
Right.
can he create through me with what he's created on the earth? And I think I would give the entrepreneurs the advice, or future entrepreneurs, you got to get vision, and don't move forward until you complete the last step, because
Mm.
step one is going to lead to step two, which will lead to step three. But you can't get to step three if you did not complete step one.
Got you. Got you. Very good advice. And now, what are some steps that the listeners can take, like right now, if they're in business or they're getting ready to start business, to kind of accelerate their business and accelerate their growth, maximize their finances? What can they do as soon as you and I end this podcast? What do you suggest that they can do to get started?
For me, I had to invest in people at the level that I was at. I knew that I was going places, and I knew that I didn't have a lot of time. I wanted to get up in that thing and get started right away. I wanted to do what people did in 30, 20 years within 2 and 3 years. And the way that I did it, I
Mm-hmm.
invested in the people that was already where I needed to be. I invested in the business coaches that had grew 6 and 7 figure businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I invested in the mentors who had mastered their mindset. I invested in watching the sermons that will put me in position to have that relationship with God. So I think what we want to become, we got to invest in it, because if I can invest in it, if I can get access to it, if I can get in the community of it, then ultimately I can become it much quicker and a better version of it before it would normally take the normal and average person, because I'm investing in it.
Okay. So basically, you accelerated your business by getting coaching, using coaches, which is basically what you're doing now.
Yeah, and I think we're called to become what we've invested in, because the
Hmm.
things that we're passionate about, we
Hmm.
ultimately start to give back to other people, because it was an opportunity that led me into, because I got coached and I
Hmm.
saw how well they worked for me.
Hmm.
Well, now I want to give back and I want to help other people get coaching, right? Because I had bad credit and I once saw how I could improve my credit.
Hmm.
As I improved my credit, I wanted to tell the world that they can improve their credit too. So I think the things that we are attracted to is the things that we're called to do for others, because it's been done unto us.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So what does Ira Curry Holdings hold?
We hold a lot. We got 5 things. Oh man, we hold our Carry Consulting, which is one-on-one coaching with me. We have our Carry Coaching, which is coaching people in a group setting to
Hmm.
grow their business. We have Coachman, which is a web-based app that helps people start a coaching business with no business experience, so that they can make the transition from corporate America. We have the Our Carry Show, which is an entrepreneur entertainment and motivation. And we got some new projects that are coming up. I can't talk too much about it, but
Okay.
those are the main ones that Our Carry holds.
Okay.
Our Carry
Okay.
holds all.
Oh wow. Oh, it sounds phenomenal. It sounds phenomenal. So I think I mentioned at the beginning that I always ask my guests to name these three things. One, something that would educate my audience. Two, something that would motivate my audience. And three, something that would inspire my audience. What would you say to educate them?
To educate them, I would say that you got to get educated. You got to constantly be going to get it. You got to be obsessed with your personal development. I think if you're
Oh,
at
okay.
this point, if you're listening to this, you got to be putting things in your mind that's going to lead you to the next level. Education, education, education. But I'm not talking about education in the world system. I'm talking about education to fulfill your mind with the things that is going to transform your level of thinking.
Wonderful. Good, good, good. How about motivation?
Motivation, I think you got to have something that's driving you within. It's okay sometimes to depend on the motivation of others, but that's going to stop when they stop giving it. You got to inspire, you got to improve your fire. You got to get a part of a community. You got to get connected with people and places and things that are doing what you want to be doing. These people have created programs that you can get into. And as you start to get on this journey, you will start to encourage yourself because you're seeing what was once considered to be impossible. And sometimes you just got to get access to it to stay
hmm
motivated with it.
And then to inspire them, what would you give them to inspire them? Actually, this whole podcast has been very inspiring.
Thank you. Your dreams, the desires on your heart, they were placed there for a reason.
hmm
Follow them because
hmm
they are leading, your desires are leading to your purpose. Your
Okay.
purpose is leading to your destiny, and your destiny is leading to your future.
Ooh, wow. Okay, that sounds great. How can people get in touch with you, Ira Curry, either to continue this conversation or use your services?
Yeah, so there are two ways to connect with me. One, I help people start a coaching business so that they can transition from corporate
hmm
into coaching in
hmm
their own company.
hmm
Two, I help people grow their existing business. So if you guys want to connect with me, hop on over to iracurie.com/get started. You can
hmm
follow all of my social media channels. And in addition, you can sign up for coaching if you'd like, and you can also get my free resources. So if you connect with me, if you feel my vibe, let's get it. Let's connect. iracurie.com/get started and follow me on all social media at iracurie online.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do that myself. I'm gonna
Yay.
definitely have to do that. Yes, indeed. So it's been phenomenal working with you. You and I met each other on a joint webinar or summit, whatever you want to call it, and I really liked the information and the inspiration as well that you were providing on that. And I hope that you and I can work on something else again. I'd love to be able to connect with you and maybe do some projects together. Who knows? It would be great.
It would be. And I can't wait for that. And I definitely see that.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna hold you to
You
that.
got it.
All right. And when we're finished, please be sure you send me over, all your links so that I can make sure my audience can connect with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Curry, Mr. Ira Curry.
So good. Thank you, Ms. Vera. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.